you think we might have a biologic clock, a clock inside us that's ticking away, and that there's going to come a point in time when, well, the clock will stop and we'll basically say good night? Well, there is a biologic clock for sure, and it's being uncovered. Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Schimpff, and this is a series of short videos on aging gracefully. So we probably actually have a number of different biologic clocks. That shortening of the telomeres, remember how they get shorter at the end here with each cell division? And we have other changes in the body. Talked a few videos back about epigenetics. Those are the changes that occur along, not in the DNA itself, but along the DNA that has an effect on gene expression and how that may have an impact. And these epigenetic changes, they build up over the course of our lifetime. There's more and more and more and more over time. So a researcher at UCLA named Stephen Horvath has come up with a way to, first of all, measure these epigenetic changes along the DNA, and then secondly, put it into an algorithm with which he can predict your age. So in other words, if he draws blood from me and looks at, say, my white blood cells, even though those white blood cells are only a couple days old, the epigenetic changes in those white blood cells will be the same as the rest of my body. And he can then look at that and say, you're 75. And he comes out to be extremely accurate within usually just a year or two. But for some people, let's say a person who's age 60, for some people, it might turn out that their biologic clock says they're 57. That would be good, I guess. Or it might say, no, you're 67. That might be bad. Is it bad? Well, it turns out, yeah, it is. If there's more than a 5-year difference, if you're more than 5 years older, that has an impact on how long you live and and the onset of chronic illnesses. And they're still studying this, of course, but very interesting. And so it says that this biologic clock is going. So the question now will be, can you affect the biologic clock? Can you affect it by some of the things I've talked about in here before about lifestyles, diet, nutrition, exercise, stress reduction, and so on. So I don't know the answer, of course. No one knows because they're studying it. But let's move on to something called the blue zones. Blue zones are where people tend to live to a really ripe old age with high prevalence of centenarians.